Gold participants and listeners from around the world. I'm Kristen Schwartz, licensed midwife and MC for Gold Learning. And here at Gold, our preparations for the upcoming Perinatal Online Conference of 2019 are in full swing. And before the conference, we would like to get together with some of our speakers and chat a bit, not only about the upcoming presentation, but also about their work in the field. And with me today is a true change maker. I'm happy to welcome Jabina Coleman here with us.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Jabina, it's so wonderful to have you here with us. And I know you're very busy. You are in the hospital right now assisting a mama or something like that. So I don't want to take too much of your time.
Thank you.
So it's wonderful to have you here. And I looked a little bit over, I researched you a little bit, and I must say, I'm so impressed. You have such a wonderful background. You have your own practice, you're a published author, you're the co-founder of the Perinatal Mental Health Alliance for People of Color, and you're awarded the Cultural Changemaker Award for the United States Breastfeeding Committee, and you have children. How do you do it all?
Yes, I do not know.
And that was only a fraction of what you do that I just mentioned. So
Yes.
tell our listeners a little bit about your journey and how you are. How did you get to where you are today?
So, as you said, I'm a licensed social worker. I am an international board certified lactation consultant. I often tell folks when I introduce myself that I wear many, many hats. One of the hats, I think one of the most important hats that I wear is just being a parent, being a mother to two children. And I would say my introduction to motherhood um, really started my journey on maternal health, women's health, and my own personal experiences kind of helped kind of lead the way into this work that I'm doing. Started when I was pregnant, and that just opened the doors to, at that time, it was Healthy People 2010, and it was around 2003, looking at breastfeeding rates and the breastfeeding disparities. And so it piqued my interest, and I wanted to be that person who breastfed their babies because I knew that there were disparities, and I knew that breastfeeding at the time it was the best option. However, I had my own personal experience and journey with breastfeeding, and I didn't achieve my goals the way I had desired because of a number of things, and some of the things which are highlighted in why women, Black women specifically, aren't breastfeeding. Some were systemic and some were also cultural. And
Yeah.
then with the first year of life after my son experiencing major depressive disorder postpartum, in the postpartum period, I hadn't had any experience with depression or anxiety prior, and having a huge shift in my emotions with I was never diagnosed or never addressed by any of my medical providers. And so that was my personal introduction to maternal mental health. And I want to say it was either 2015 when I attended my first perinatal mental health conference with Postpartum Support International. I was sitting in the audience as a professional, and I said, "Oh my goodness, I really suffered with a perinatal mood disorder in my pregnancy." And so, just from my personal experiences, and then working for nonprofits and community organizations, working with women and family, kind of really that just kind of started my journey. And
Mhm.
so, yeah, that's how I became interested in the work, and it's ever changing, and I'm, just kind of going through the process. And I love what I do. I'm excited about the work that I do as a psychotherapist, facilitating breastfeeding support groups, and doing lactation work, being a speaker, and doing all of the things in the
Yeah.
field. But I know I can't do it alone, and I have amazing colleagues who support me and who I lean on their shoulders, or to get this work done. So I'm always excited about the work that I do. Yeah.
I can hear that. I definitely hear how passionate you are about your helping mothers. And I saw you call yourself the lactation therapist. That is absolutely wonderful to me because you're bringing your skills, your own experience, and your professional training into that. So you're doing more than just lactation consulting, which is important on its own, but you're bundling it up as in also as a therapist, right? Explain that a little to
Absolutely.
us.
Absolutely. So, as we move into this space of branding and being an entrepreneur, and over the last few years, I think as I thought more about my niche and the work that I do, again, it doesn't only encompass lactation, the world of lactation, but when I found myself, when I speak with moms, I couldn't just address the lactation issues
Hmm.
without addressing where moms were emotionally. And sometimes it would take us to really talk through their emotions before addressing the breastfeeding issue at hand. And
Yeah.
so, as the lactation therapist, just really being in this space where I'm able to do both. And also realizing that they're not mutually exclusive. And so,
Hmm.
looking at the woman as a whole and a whole person was really important to the work that I do. And so, I couldn't do one without the other. That's what it felt
Right.
like. I couldn't
Right.
talk to a mom during her prenatal period about lactation, about her desire to breastfeed, without touching on any history of depression or anxiety.
Mhm.
But then I also realized I couldn't talk with a mom in the postpartum period about breastfeeding without asking the same question too. So, the lactation therapist kind of was born out of that, out of realizing that we're looking at the whole person. We, can't separate the two. And it was really my desire to educate our birth workers and our providers um, about how we do that. And so that's the lactation therapist that was kind of born through those lens.
Wonderful, wonderful. And you mentioned earlier, as a professional, you were sitting at that conference when you realized, oh my goodness, that happened to me. I felt like that. I feel like that. This is how that probably happens a lot too when you speak to your clients, right? They come to you for lactation support, and then you start talking to them, and all of a sudden you realize, or the two of you, the family, the team, whoever is in the room with you at that time probably realizes, oh, there's more going on. Does that happen often?
It happens often. I think and it happens often once we understand the statistics, right?
Yeah.
So 1 in 7 women experience change in mood during and after pregnancy. And for Black women, it's one in
Yeah.
three will experience postpartum depression during the first year of postpartum. And so because of those numbers, we know that it's happening more frequently.
Mhm.
So if we're not asking the question, then we are going to miss people. And so I think it's just a very important part of maternal wellness and
Mhm.
um, in the care that we give.
Absolutely. Now let's talk about the presentation you will be giving. Everyone wants to hold the baby who will hold the mother. I absolutely love that title. It's wonderful. And everybody who listens to this is going, oh, yes, I'm glad we're talking about this. Isn't it so true? And during pregnancy, we focus, healthcare providers, doulas, everybody focuses on the mom. And then the baby is born, and all of a sudden, everything, shifts onto the baby. It's like, family comes in, everybody, as the title says here, wants to hold the baby, and it's the mom becomes kind of is expected to be just blissful mother, going jumping back into her pre-pregnant body and role, and just being happy to be a mom, and we know this is often not is very different often, and especially for women of color. So tell us a little bit about the presentation.
So a little bit about the presentation. So this quote or phrase, it gets a lot of buzz, right? Everyone wants to hold the baby. Who will hold the mother? It gets buzz because we feel it as mothers, as providers.
Hmm.
We know that actually it's true that everyone wants to hold the baby.
Yeah.
But for me, it's more than a phrase and it's more than a quote. It really is a call to action. It's a call to action, really looking at health disparities.
Hmm.
It's a call to action looking at maternal mortality, the disparities in maternal mortality rates. Sorry. Also, disparities in breastfeeding and women's health on a whole. And so, it really, yes, we want to focus on supporting moms in the fourth trimester in that postpartum period. But I think there's on so many levels that that can look like, and so it really is a call to action to bring awareness to really focus on how can we really support moms who are struggling and to shift because a lot of times moms are the key nurturers and caretakers of the family unit, the family system. And if we're not taking care of moms, oftentimes things, it affects the children, the household, economics, it's just a lot of things. And so it's a call to action. It's a call to action not just to our professionals, but I really like to educate the community about what
Mhm.
it takes to support moms in this fourth trimester and the family unit as a whole. And so it's near and dear to me. It's a compilation of
Mhm.
all the work that I've done over the last decade. Um, of my studies and my work and some of the research and all of the things that I do yeah it really just focuses on all of the things supporting moms and parents in that fourth trimester in that transition into parenthood. I often say when a baby is born, a mother is born as well.
Right.
um, and so we have to adjust how we support a mom after every birth, even if it's the third or fourth or fifth birth, a new person is born. And
Right.
so really supporting them, it's key to their well-being and the well-being of, how she's able to bond and nurture this new baby and the other children and family members who also depend on her.
Absolutely. I love how you said it's the call to action. Absolutely love it. So thank you so much, Jabina, for being with me here today and talking about a little bit about your background and your experience, and of course the presentation here for us.
Awesome. Thank you so much for having me, and I'm so excited for the conference and to be speaking.
Thank you so much. And we are excited about your presentation. The presentation everyone wants to hold the baby who will hold the mother. Perinatal mood and anxiety disorders is part of the Gold Perinatal Online Conference of 2019. The presentation will be live on October 7th. And to our listeners now, for more information on this presentation and the other presentations in the conference, please visit goldperinatal.com. Thank you everyone for listening. Bye bye.